On an average, Americans between the ages of 20 to 34 spend less than 7 minutes per day reading. Although the time spent reading increases in earlier generations, the general trend is an overall average of only 16.2 minutes. Despite these numbers, 3 out of 4 adults as of 2018 stated that they have read at least one book in the past year. Oconee Fall Line Technical College wants to change the narrative about reading and take on the approach that reading can be enjoyable and rewarding just by implementing a few strategies with our Quality Enhancement Plan, Reading Transforms. To further understand OFTC, I would like to share some background information with you. We are a member of the Technical College System of Georgia, and our mission is to promote workforce development. In 2011, Heart of Georgia Tech and Sandusville Tech merged to become Oconee Fall Line Technical College. The college's service area includes 11 counties with 6 campus locations. For the academic year 2020, OFTC's enrollment was 2,591, with 78% of the students preferring part-time status. Additionally, 42% of our students are enrolled in the allied health programs, 27% in the business, computer, and professional services programs, and 32% in the trade and industrial programs. OFTC is proud of its established record as a service-oriented provider of outstanding and varied post-secondary educational services. We want our students to succeed, and we assist them in accomplishing their goals. For our Quality Enhancement Plan, we went through a process of identifying a topic, gaining support from our stakeholders, focusing on student learning outcomes, committing resources to our plan, and creating a plan of assessment.
During the development of OFTC's QEP topic and planned improvements, OFTC has been mindful of its mission, students, and their individualism, and occupational programs of study. OFTC is committed to enhancing the quality of its services and focuses attention on student learning. The Reading Comprehension Improvement topic has been identified through the college's ongoing comprehensive planning and evaluation processes, has broad-based support of college constituencies, focuses on improving specific student learning outcomes, has resources committed for the implementation of the QEP, and includes a plan to assess QEP achievement. In 2017, we began preparation and development of the Quality Enhancement Plan. As part of a self-improvement process of the college, a steering committee comprised of faculty, staff, and administrators was formed and later became an expanded steering committee to include student representatives and additional faculty. On January 30th, 2017, OFTC held the annual Strategic Planning Retreat attended by representatives from every unit of the college, including college deans, directors, and vice presidents. During the retreat, data relating to external trends and influences on the college, as well as internal data from the college, were presented to better understand the context in which the college was operating. The internal data reviewed for the college included the Technical College System of Georgia benchmark reports, college snapshot data from TCSG's Knowledge Management System, complete college Georgia data, TCSG's Performance Accountability System data, and distance education activity at the college. Strategic planning attendees considered potential QEP topics as data was reviewed and deficiencies noted during the retreat. After this meeting, the steering committee used spring semester 2017 to begin 2 initiatives which would be used to gather the needed information for topic selection, data review, and stakeholder engagement. These 2 initiatives would enable the college to explore possible QEP topics as the process emerged. The first set of data reviewed was general education student learning outcome data gathered during the college's institutional effectiveness process for the academic year 2014, 2015, and 2016. As we reviewed the data for the student learning outcomes, which are illustrated on pages 8 through 10 in the QEP manual, we began to notice that our students were functioning at a low percentage in reading. However, students were functioning much higher on the student learning outcomes used to measure math, English, and computer skills.
This observation led us to review the reading scores on the AccuPlacer, which is our college placement exam consisting of 4 required portions: reading, writing, numerical, and algebra. Scores on each area range from 20 to 120. To enter a diploma program, students are required to score 55 on reading and score 64 to enter an associate's degree program. The AccuPlacer reading scores were reviewed for AY 2016 and 2017 and analyzed to determine student reading readiness upon entrance to the college. As we began to look at the AccuPlacer reading test scores, the data showed even more that reading tended to be a deficiency for our students. The AccuPlacer data reflected the finding of the Student Learning Outcome Assessment process. Students come to OFTC without the necessary reading skills to be successful in credit courses by the performance on the AccuPlacer. Even after remediation and credit coursework, the student learning outcome data for reading showed that students were not performing as expected on a national exam.
In the spring of 2017, the steering committee also began seeking input concerning potential topics from the college stakeholders and constituents, including faculty and staff, students, occupational advisory committee members, and the local board of directors. The steering committee asked 5 questions concerning knowledge, skills, or value for graduates, vital experiences for students, improvement need for student learning, and specific strategies of focus for OFTC. There were 40 potential topics obtained from the survey, and the topics were examined to ensure they met the requirements of a QEP. The 4 areas of improvement were computer skills, mathematics and quantitative literacy, reading comprehension skills, and written communication skills. Additionally, suggestions for improvement were addressed and improvements were assigned to the appropriate divisions of the college. In the fall of 2017, OFTC engaged with college stakeholders for a second time to update them on topic selection. And the second round of survey with the college stakeholders were administered for selection of the final topic.
The second round of surveys with college stakeholders indicated that reading comprehension received the most support. The survey data further supported the student learning outcome data results, highlighting the deficiencies in student reading comprehension skills. OFTC offers a reading course as a part of its learning support program for students who do not score the minimum cut scores on the placement exam. These students are required to complete the reading course prior to enrolling in their English course. In order to enable the majority of OFTC students the opportunity to participate in the QEP, the committee reviewed the programs requiring degree-level English composition and the diploma-level English, and identified the programs that require English 1101, Composition and Rhetoric, and English 1010, Fundamentals of English 1. The review concluded that every degree-level and diploma-level program included an English course.
5 subcommittees were appointed in the spring of 2018: Assessment, Data Collection, Literature Review, Marketing, and Professional Development. In the summer of 2018, subcommittees met to fulfill the established subcommittee responsibilities, and in January of 2019, students, faculty, board members, advisory committees, and stakeholders voted for their favorite logo, Reading Transforms. The Reading Transforms logo was shared with campus community and college stakeholders to build awareness of the college's work towards the development of the QEP. A series of campus awareness meetings were held to share information on the QEP process with college stakeholders. The meetings were held and continue to be held with students during new student orientation, with the college occupational advisory committee members, at employee meetings, and during local board of directors meetings. The steering committee will continue to hold additional campus awareness meetings with college stakeholders and encourage them to volunteer for QEP subcommittees throughout the implementation phase in an effort to continue to garner additional commitment for the QEP from college stakeholders.
The goal of Oconee Fall Line Technical College's Quality Enhancement Plan is to increase students' reading comprehension by assessing degree level and diploma level students. As the Literature Committee researched techniques to accomplish this goal, 3 strategies were revealed. Number 1, LearningExpress Library. Number 2, SQ3R. Survey, question, read, recite, review. Number 3, text connections. To assess the overall success of improving student reading comprehension, OFTC will use the ETS Heighten to assess degree level reading throughout the QEP implementation. The diploma level students will be assessed on reading comprehension using TABE Level D. The expected results would be 1% increase each year over the student learning outcomes reflected in tables 18 and 19 on page 40. Now we would like to discuss the 3 strategies. As part of the strategies to improve students' reading comprehension, we have 6 specific student learning outcomes to gauge students' progress. They will be discussed with each strategy.
The LearningExpress Library program is web-based and can be accessed remotely via an internet connection. Additionally, this program is individualized and self-paced, allowing faculty to facilitate access to the learning resource. The program provides immediate feedback to students through the assessment tools built into the software. The specific and measurable student learning outcomes are: 1, students will apply the skills learned in each prescribed lesson quiz, and 2, students will show an increased score between pre-test and post-test after completion of the prescribed lessons in the LearningExpress Library. To demonstrate, let's look at LearningExpress. When accessing the LearningExpress Library program, students will navigate to the Reading Skills Tutorial 2. Students will go through the course introduction and then take the pretest. Once taking the pretest, the students will then be prescribed a series of lessons. And for example, the students may end up with the prescribed lesson of a main idea and supporting details. This particular lesson will give Lesson 1 on main ideas and Lesson 2 on supporting details. Once students finish those, they will recap the summary, and then they will take the unit quiz. Upon taking the unit quiz, students should score an 80% or higher. If not, they will go back through Lessons 1 and 2 until they achieve that 80% score. Then they will progress through any prescribed lessons before they access the course summary. That again will be somewhat of a review. Students will then take the post-test and hopefully show an increase in the score from the pre-test to the post-test. For the assessment means, students will take the LearningExpress Library Reading Skills Review for college students reading tutorial 2 pre-test. Students will progress through the prescribed LearningExpress Library instructional units, completing lesson quizzes along the way, and students will take the LearningExpress Library Reading Skills Review for college students reading tutorial 2 post-test.
Let's move into Strategy 2, SQ3R. Using a flow worksheet as a reference, the instructor will guide the students through a selected passage with a stated goal, while setting aside time for students to engage in each step of the SQ3R strategy. Such goals might include general comprehension or understanding of a more detailed concept. Now, the use of a fillable worksheet is suggested to keep the students organized in terms of the individual SQ3R sections. Time guidance is also suggested to keep the class working as a group. As we delve into the acronym SQ3R, keep in mind that while each activity may seem simplistic in terms of title, a variety of methods can be applied to each step in the classroom and at the individual level. Let's look at these steps one by one. S is for survey. Have your students survey the reading. Pay attention to titles, headers, italics, bold, charts, etc. This will give your students a head start on understanding what the reading is generally about. Q stands for question. Encourage the students to generate questions based on the directions of the associated activity, the goal of the reading, the topic of the piece. Our first R is read. Have the students read the selected passage while looking for answers to their pre-generated questions. Our second R is recall and recite. Have the students recall and recite answers during and after the reading through verbal activities, written activities, etc. Our final R is review. Have the students review the selected passage, questions, and their generated answers. Now, it is important to note that the more curious the students are, the better they understand the text. And while we might not have much choice in some areas in terms of text, when given an option, always work to utilize a text that engages the students and incites curiosity, as this will allow them to better understand and comprehend the information. Let's move into our specific student learning outcomes for this activity. 1. Students will apply the SQ3R strategy on a given passage as demonstrated by scoring at least 75% on a rubric. And 2. Students will show an increased score between pre-test and post-test after learning the SQ3R strategy. So I thought I would take a moment and demonstrate how I might utilize this strategy in my course to enhance comprehension of a work. So if I'm teaching American literature, I might choose to utilize the SQ3R reading strategy as my students work through a reading of The Snows of Kilimanjaro by Ernest Hemingway. So in class, I might first have the students survey the work. Take a look at the title. Think about what that title means. Take a look at the length, which is always important to students, to see how much time they will spend reading. Maybe work to pick out any keywords, headers, or bolded areas of the story. The S-STEP survey gives them a general idea of what they will be reading and what the reading will be about. Now for Q, question. I might have the students divide into groups and work with their group to generate some questions based on the activity we are engaging in. This activity will be an analysis assignment. I will be asking the students to analyze the story in terms of author, characters, plot, climax, author purpose, maybe relevancy to the time period or the literary genre. So the groups would then work to generate questions based on those directions by asking, who is the author? Who are the characters? What is the plot? Etc. Once they have generated these questions, they will move into R, read, which will be accomplished individually. They will each read the selected passage while looking for answers to their pre-generated questions. Then, for our second R, recall and recite, I might have them work with their groups again to discuss their answers in terms of the reading. They'll take their questions, they'll give their answers, they'll discuss, receive their peer responses, and then we'll move into R, review. They will review the selected passage with their group, ensure that all questions have been answered to the fullest extent. So this would be a way that I would utilize the SQ3R reading strategy in my course, American Literature, as the students work individually and with their group to complete an analysis assignment over the snows of Kilimanjaro by Ernest Hemingway. Finally, let's move into our assessment means. This is a three-parter. 1. Students will take the LearningExpress Library Reading Skills Review for College Students Reading Tutorial 1 pretest. 2. Students will be assessed on their use of the SQ3R strategy applied to an assigned reading. They will complete the SQ3R worksheet and will be evaluated using the SQ3R rubric. And then finally, students will take the LearningExpress Library Reading Skills Review for College Students Reading Tutorial 1 post-test.
I'm here to talk about text connections. Text connections is a three-tiered model that was adopted by our QEP subcommittee on literature review. It involves text to text, text to self, and text to work. This was modified to focus on the technical college system's goal overall of meeting those labor demands for our manufacturers here in the great state of Georgia. Now, portions of these will be divvied out into rubrics that we will use instructors in the classrooms through all disciplines, through things like our language arts department, our math and sciences, even like myself, technical education as well. These will be modified to use so that we can actually relate more to students and emphasize the importance of reading and the transformative process that it makes. After we've modeled the text connections for our students, what we'll do is we'll be using and integrating our text connection rubrics for our students. We're going to use those to expand upon the things that the students have already learned through their textbooks, through their reading assignments, and move on into performance level tasks and labs, hopefully, that those students will be accomplishing. The specific SLOs for text connections are: students will apply the text connection strategy on a given passage as demonstrated by scoring at least 75% on a rubric. Students will show an increased score between pretest post-test after learning the text connection strategy. An example of using text connections involves this. Here we have a source textbook that our students will be assigned reading assignments in, and then we have a lab book that they'll be performing a lab out of. They'll read the source text, then they'll read also expanding literature here inside the lab book. Also, instructions are inside there. So what happens is as you can see, you have the text-to-text connection, and then you have the text-to-self connection as well, reading the instructions and seeing exactly what you're going to be doing. And then you have the text to work itself, which is demonstrated here in the lab. These are real-world assignments that they'll be expected to perform in the world of work for their respective trades. The assessment means for the text connection strategy are: students will take the LearningExpress Library Reading Skills Review for College Students Reading Tutorial 1 pretest. Students will be assessed on the use of the text connection strategy applied to an assigned reading. They will complete the Text Connections worksheet and be evaluated using the Text Connections rubric. Students will take the LearningExpress Library Reading Skills Review for college students Reading Tutorial 1 post-test. In order to prepare our instructors for these strategies, professional development will be offered to new and existing faculty members.
Prior to the implementation of the key strategies, OFTC faculty will be trained on the implementation of each initiative. Through face-to-face and online training sessions, OFTC faculty will explore and develop best practices to help students analyze and evaluate text across disciplines. Faculty training will be delivered through the Blackboard Learning Management System. Let's take a look at the Blackboard training course. Let's look at SQ3R as a demonstration. We've defined SQ3R for our faculty and student learners. We also have a folder of strategy and practice steps. We will begin with reading passages that will coincide with programs of study. We'll then move into steps. The pre-step is to access the fillable worksheet and the flow sheet. Step 1 of SQ3R is to survey the reading. Step 2 is to generate questions. Step 3, read the selected passage. Step 4, recite answers. Step 5 is review the passage. Finally, we'll use the assessment rubric to evaluate students and faculty in the SQ3R strategy. The Professional Development Committee will plan and deliver professional development to all OFTC instructors. Training sessions will be scheduled on each campus and will also be delivered online. New hires will begin training on the strategy currently being taught during the semester in which they are initially employed. Let's now take a look at the training timeline. Training in the LearningExpress Library platform will begin spring 2021. Beginning summer 2021, English faculty will implement the LearningExpress Library platform in English 1010, which is Fundamentals of English 1, and English 1101, which is Composition and Rhetoric. LearningExpress Library faculty training will continue for the program area faculty. The QEP Professional Development Committee will guide and assess faculty using the LearningExpress Library platform's online assessment tools to include pre-test and post-test. Additionally, the QEP Professional Development Committee will train faculty learners in retrieving and assessing reports, which will determine learning gains and track students' progress. Beginning in Year 1, English faculty will assess diploma-level students in English 1010 and degree-level students in English 1101. Beginning in Year 2, one occupational course determined by the program instructor will begin implementing the LearningExpress Library strategy. And then, beginning in Year 3 and continuing into Year 4 and Year 5, dual enrollment students in English 1101 will begin implementation. Training in the SQ3R strategy will begin spring 2022. Beginning summer 2022, English faculty will implement the SQ3R strategy in English 1010, which is the Fundamentals of English 1, and English 1101, Composition and Rhetoric. SQ3R faculty training will continue for the program area faculty. The selected reading material for training will coincide with the instructional discipline of the training group. Beginning in Year 2, English faculty will assess students in English 1010 and English 1101. Beginning in Year 3, one occupational course determined by the program instructor will begin implementing the SQ3R strategy. Beginning in Year 4 and continuing into Year 5, implementation of the SQ3R strategy will begin for dual enrollment students in English 1101. Training in the Text Connection strategy will begin spring 2023. Beginning summer 2023, English faculty will implement the Text Connection strategy in English 1010, which is Fundamentals of English 1, and English 1101, which is Composition and Rhetoric. Text Connections faculty training will continue for the program area faculty. Faculty will learn the importance of integrating this strategy into their course design and using assessment tools like the Text Connections rubric. Beginning in Year 3, English faculty will assess students in English 1010 and English 1101. Faculty will select a lesson in which to incorporate the text connection strategy. Beginning in Year 4, one occupational course determined by the program instructor will begin implementation of the text connection strategy. Beginning in Year 5, dual enrollment students in English 1101 will begin the text connection strategy.
To make sure we have appropriate resources, a budget has been developed. The budget can be broken down into 4 major areas: marketing, personnel, instructional supplies, and professional development. Marketing will cover the cost of printing, publications, and promotional items. Marketing costs will be incurred over the entire life of the project, but most of the charges will take place during the first 2 years. Personnel costs will include the Dean of Academic Affairs, a part-time QEP director, and an administrative assistant. Due to state allocated budget reductions from COVID-19, the college is proposing a budget for the first year, which includes the elimination of a separate QEP director. This position will be filled during the second year of implementation. Instructional supplies cover the fees for the LearningExpress Library, the ETS Heightened Exam, the TABE Level D Reading Survey Exam. The fee is based on the enrollment of the college. The final category is professional development. The QEP director and the English instructor will need to attend SAC COC meetings as well as reading conferences. The budget is prepared on an annual basis. It is submitted during the spring to the business office. Monthly reports will be generated to aid the QEP director in tracking expenditures during the process. And the QEP director and the Vice President of Administration will work together to amend the budget as needed.
The steering committee has projected a timeline for implementation. The timeline may be adjusted if a review of the data indicates needed changes. The data collection and assessment subcommittees will be responsible for ensuring the QEP assessment processes are conducted and serve as the data collection clearinghouse. The QEP student learning outcome data will be analyzed to determine score gains and make recommendations for QEP implementation changes if needed. The summative data will also be analyzed and compared to the baseline data to determine the overall success of the QEP. In addition to the student performance data analysis, the assessment subcommittee will survey faculty each semester to determine instructor opinions of the reading strategies. The student performance data and the faculty input will assist OFTC in gauging progress toward the overall QEP goal, increasing students' reading comprehension. Assessment results will be reported in the WEAVE Annual Institutional Effectiveness Planning software. Reports will be generated and shared with the steering committee throughout the implementation process. To ensure QEP implementation is assessed on an ongoing basis, the Data Collection Subcommittee and the Assessment Subcommittee will collect SLO data each semester. The results will be analyzed, summarized, and shared with the steering committee. The steering committee will review the analysis and suggest changes as necessary to promote the success of the QEP. Annually, the QEP director will prepare a summative report to track the reading comprehension data for the overall QEP goal, as well as the student learning outcome data for the key strategies. The annual summative report will be reviewed each academic year following the college's institutional effectiveness timeline. The data will also be presented at the annual strategic planning retreat held each spring semester.
Oconee Fall Line Technical College's Quality Enhancement Plan, Reading Transforms, strives to increase students' reading comprehension. 3 strategies will be implemented to achieve the QEP goal, and 6 student learning outcomes will be assessed throughout our QEP implementation. We anticipate a 1% increase each year of implementation. Reading comprehension is a well-defined topic directly related to the institutional needs and focuses on specific and measurable outcomes related to student learning. Our assessments are appropriate and directly assess the outcomes. Moreover, the human and financial resources are clearly identified. Our stakeholders are and continue to be well informed concerning our implementation and assessment processes. We are excited about the change in the mindset of our students as they use these strategies to make changes in their educational and personal lives. Because reading transforms.